Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we are going to be focusing on the Bundesliga from Germany, and we will try to figure out which teams have been the most profitable ones for such predictions where the prediction itself was home wins. Let's start. As mentioned, we are focusing on Bundesliga, and our particular focus will be on such predictions where the prediction itself is a home wins prediction. We are not interested in draws, we are not interested in away wins predictions, only home wins predictions, and we are only focusing on Bundesliga. Before we start, so let's have a look at the table from Bundesliga for the season in particular so far. This table is showing the status of the Bundesliga. Based on the day when I am recording this video. Bayern Munich is leading the league. Then in the second place we have Leipzig, then Leverkusen, Dortmund, and at the fifth place we have Stuttgart. So let's go to the next one. And in this slide here, we see the teams and the most profitable ones and the ones that are not profitable at all for home wins predictions, and the ones for which we don't have, or we haven't had any home wins predictions so far in the season. So there's a lot going on in this table here, so I will try to explain what really is happening in each and every column. In the first one here, in the first column, we just see the list of the home teams, Stuttgart, Bayern Munich, Werder Bremen, Leipzig, and so on. In the second column, we see the average confidence. This is the prediction confidence, and where the prediction itself is home wins. Meaning, for Stuttgart, for example, when we had such predictions where the prediction itself was home wins, for such predictions, the prediction confidence has been 51.4% so far. For Bayern Munich, for example, for such predictions where the prediction itself was home wins, so Bayern Munich is a very strong team in Bundesliga, and the prediction confidence has been 63.5% so far. For Werder Bremen, it was 36.5%, and for Leipzig, for 50.2%, and so on. So this column here, this table is not necessarily sorted based on the prediction confidence, actually. But this is an interesting figure that I'm going to talk about later on. In the third column here, we see the number of such predictions. For example, we had 5 such predictions for Stuttgart this season, where Stuttgart was the home team and the prediction itself was home wins. And we had 7 such predictions for Bayern Munich, for example, where the prediction itself was home wins, and so on. So number of home wins predictions for each and every team here when these teams were the home teams. In the next column here, we see the number of successful predictions. For Stuttgart, we had 5 such predictions where the prediction itself was a home wins, and all 5 were successful here. For Bayern Munich, we had 7 such predictions, and all 7 were successful. Werder Bremen, we only had 1 such prediction, and the prediction was successful as well, and so on. So it's giving an idea about how often we are successful with our predictions for home wins predictions for each and every team. As you see, some teams are more predictable when the prediction says the home team is going to win the game, and some others, for example, Köln, for example, we had 3 such predictions. Only 1 of them were successful, and the end result was actually negative. We couldn't generate profit there if we had invested in Köln in all such games where the prediction itself was that Köln was expected to win the game, but it didn't happen to be the case. So average odd is sort of an interesting column here. Let's talk about this column now. This is not representing the odd of each and every game, but the average odd of all these predictions that we had. For example, for Stuttgart, we had 5 such predictions where the prediction itself was a home wins, and the average odd of these predictions was 1.61. And for Bayern Munich, for example, we had 7 such predictions. All 7 were also successful, but the average odd for those predictions was only 1.19. So you may say that since Bayern Munich is leading the league as well, you can say that I just go for Bayern Munich in all these games whenever they are playing a home game, and if the prediction itself was also a home wins, then I just go for them, which may make sense because Bayern Munich is a very strong team, so they are the ones who are expected to win the game, no matter if they're actually playing a Champions League game or a game in Bundesliga and so on. But in most cases, especially in Bundesliga, the odds of such games where the Bayern Munich is the home team, happen to be quite low. So in the case of Bundesliga table here that we have, so Stuttgart, for example, the average odd for Stuttgart predictions was 1.61, which is much higher actually, more than 3 times in terms of the odds. The profit of the odd actually, this is 0.19 and the other one is 0.61, so much higher than 0.19. So in that regard, the odds are quite low, and if the prediction fails, you're losing everything basically, and the profit itself was quite low if Bayern Munich tends to win the game or happens to win the game. So this is the average odd of those predictions that we have. Yet the last column here is the net figure. Let's say we had such predictions, 5 predictions for Stuttgart as an example. And let's say that we created a coupon or put a bet on each and every game Stuttgart had so far, all these 5 games. And let's say that we put only $1 on each and every game. The net figure here, the net profit actually would be 3.03. With other words, on each game, we are risking $1. In total, we are spending $5. And we will be getting back in total, we are getting back our investment basically. And also because all the predictions were successful here. And we are also getting this figure as a profit, 3.03. In total, we are getting 8.03. So we are investing 5, getting back 8.03. In the case of Bayern Munich, for example, we will be spending $7 if we spend, or invest or risk $1 on each game, and the return will be 7 plus 1.34, which is 8.34. So generally speaking, the profit, both teams are actually profitable, but on the other hand, we see that Bayern Munich is not as profitable as Stuttgart because the odds of such games where Stuttgart was expected to win the game based on our algorithms, odds were higher. So from that angle, yes, the prediction confidence plays a role, but also which kind of odd we have for the game plays also an important role. So let's focus on Stuttgart and Bayern Munich based on their places in the table again, as we mentioned before. But Bayern Munich is actually leading the league, but Stuttgart has the 5th place. But the thing is that whenever the prediction from our algorithms was home wins for Stuttgart, all 5 happened to be correct, which returned a pretty good result so far. So in this table, only by looking at the table, you can say that it makes more sense to go for Bayern Munich, for example, for their home games, which makes sense as well. But it doesn't necessarily mean that Bayern is the most profitable team if we also consider the odds, let's say. And we didn't have any home wins predictions for some teams from the table, and those are Hoffenheim, Mönchengladbach, Augsburg, Union Berlin, and Wolfsburg. And these are in the 7th place and 8th, 12th, 13th, and the 15th place in the table. Just as an informational anecdote here. If we come back here to our big table where we list, the profitable teams, basically these green ones, they are the ones that have been profitable. If we went for the prediction home wins, and those are the teams where the teams themselves weren't really that predictable, or they didn't really perform as good, even if the prediction itself was home wins for those teams from Bundesliga. So how are you gonna figure out, if you can rely on a prediction or not, or you at least maybe want to have an idea about how predictions have been performing so far for these teams or even the league itself, so that you can make a better decision if you want to go for the prediction itself or not. So some teams are profitable, some others are not. So we have the statistical insights for this problem within the app itself. As an example, we have an example game here. Leipzig is playing against Werder Bremen. If you look at the prediction confidences of these potential results here, 1 representing home wins, X represents a draw, and 2 represents an away wins. Since 52% is bigger than the other prediction confidences here, so the expectation is that the home team is going to win the game, and the odd itself happens to be 1.45. If you press on this game here, any window opens within the app where you get the chance to see some statistical insights. For example, for Bundesliga, for the League of Bundesliga from Germany, if the confidence happens to be more than 50%, we had 13 such predictions from Bundesliga, and 9 of them were correct, with the 69% accuracy rate. If we had invested $1 on each and every of them, so $13 we will be spending, and it will give us back $0.62 at the end, with 4.8% profit. For Leipzig in particular, only for their home games, as it is noted here, we had 2 such predictions by the time this prediction was published, and all 2 were successful lately, and these numbers keep changing as teams play more games, and the profit was 44.5%. And again, if Leipzig is the home team, you also see that we had 3 such predictions where the prediction was 1x, and all 3 were correct, and you see the profit and net return values here. So if the results lately have been negative, then they are not necessarily included here. But if the predictions and the results have been promising lately, so such predictions are listed here as statistical insights. Does it guarantee that the prediction is going to hold? No, there is no guarantee here, obviously, but looking at some past prediction results can help to develop some stronger predictions. Maybe there are some teams that are not necessarily that predictable. They are not really performing consistently. So even if the prediction happens to be home wins or away wins or whatever the prediction is, actually, maybe there's a high risk that the prediction is not going to hold, and in such cases, such statistics are not really included here. But if you press on each and every game, you see which one of the predictions have been more successful lately, so that you can maybe make some better decisions for when developing your own strategies. So that's it about Bundesliga. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next one.